With Black Friday deals coming up, I'm putting together a short series of the baits and the gear that work for me so that you can see what's worth trying for where you fish. I'm filming this video before all the sales drop, so I can't promise that everything will be discounted, but most of it should be available on Tackle Warehouse, as that's where I do most of my tackle shopping. This video will be all about my favorite search and reaction baits. So let's just start with some crankbaits. This is the Bill Lewis ATV. This is the 1.5 size. And this has lived up to the ATV name for me. I've cast this thing right into laydowns on purpose, trying to just crank it through to get it stuck, and it never has gotten stuck for me. So I'm not saying it's snag proof, but it definitely does a great job of deflecting off of whatever is in its way. And it was responsible for this 5-pound bass I caught off of really shallow rock. Next up is the Strike King Hybrid Hunter, both in the standard size and the junior. If you're in a shallow grass fishery, this thing is amazing. It comes through grass so well, and it just gets bit. And you can fish it in various ways. You can use it like it's a topwater, like I did over a submerged laydown, and I twisted it like it was a walking bait, and this one just under 4 pounds clobbered it. You can also fish it like it's a wake bait. You can burn it and pause it, and while you're doing that, you can snap the tip of your rod like it's a jerkbait. The bait is just a winner in all models, and you should give it a try. Next up is the Rapala OG Slim 06. OG stands for Ott's Garage. It's a silent crankbait, which gives it a tighter side-to-side action, and it's silent, so it's great for pressured waters as well. It'll work any time of year, but it's especially good in cold water, like right now, mid to late fall, it definitely shines. And this perch color I no longer see on Tackle Warehouse, but the next color that I would try is the Rootbeer, or the Chartreuse Rootbeer Crawdad. And I'll be listing all of the baits that I talk about in the description for you. The next one is my favorite shallow water burner crankbait. This is the Spro Fat John 60. No matter how fast you reel this thing in, it's going to hunt like crazy and stay in the 1 to 3 foot zone. And there was one day I caught a bass and a pickerel on it at the same time. Basically, all you do with it is just burn it and you pause it, and you repeat that over and over. I have one more build crankbait for you, and that's the Rapala DT series. DT stands for Dives 2, so a Rapala DT8 or a DT10 will dive to about 8 or 10 feet. And it's my main crankbait when I'm fishing a really grassy bottom. So if I'm in 10 feet of water, I'll pick the DT8 so I can tick the tops of the grass. If you have a nice hard rocky bottom, pick the DT12 in that situation to make sure you're maintaining bottom contact and deflecting off of any rocks that may be down there. Now for lipless crankbaits, I use 3 of them. This is the Jackall TN 70. This is the Spro Aruku Shad Jr. And this is the Lucky Craft LV 500. So for the Jackall TN 70, I'll use this one when I want to burn and pause or lift and drop in 10 feet of water or less. And I'll switch to the Aruku Shad Jr. to do the same thing, but just when I want to downsize. And for the LV 500, that's when I just want to do a lift and drop in more than 10 feet of water. All 3 of them are fish catchers. My favorite jerkbaits: Duo Realis 100 SP and a Jackall Rerange. Just throw them out in shallow water, try different cadences with twitches and pauses, and stick with the one that you get bit on. You can work it really fast in warm water, and even in cold water you don't have to go like super slow. It's still a pretty fast cadence, like twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, twitch, pause. You'll be surprised how fast the bass will move in cold water. And for soft jerk baits, I use 2 of them, the Zoom Super Fluke and the X-Zone Whiplash Shad. And when do I use one over the other? I'll use the Super Fluke when I want to just work it really fast, because it's what it excels at. You can zoom it around the surface of the water or a subsurface and just work it really quick, and it's going to have sharp responses to your rod twitches. And the Whiplash Shad is when I want to fish it a little bit slower. The fall that it has is like this slower, meandering, kind of just winding down to the bottom, so I'm just imitating a dying fish and an easy meal for a bass. So for chatterbaits, I have 5 of them for you. No particular order. I use the Z-Man Jackhammer. I use the Hag's Hurricane Bladed Jig. The V&M The Blade Jig. The Z-Man Evo Elite Chatterbait. And the Minimax version of that. And you saw that I used the same trailer on all of them. It's a 4.5-inch spunk shad, except for the little one. It's a 3.5-inch. Now the chatterbait is basically a year-round bait for me. I mean, we freeze over in the winter, but if there's open water from ice out back to ice in, it works. It just works. It's on the end of my line almost every single time I'm out. Whether I just want to, you can fish it in various ways too. So you just cast it out. You can lift and drop off the bottom. You can slow roll the bottom. You can burn it. You can pause it. You can do whatever you want with it, and it's a bait that works. And as far as which one of those 5 to try, use any and all of them. They all work just the same for me. I don't have like a specific situation for any of them except for maybe the smaller one. If you're around smaller forage or just pressured bass, that one can just outperform the other ones. It has a much less of an aggressive the blade on it is so small, it almost feels like you're fishing a lipless crankbait. But they all work just the same for me anyways. Okay, for spinnerbaits, I think it's fair to say I've tried my share. Out of all of these, I use one. And it's the Megabass SV3. It's the most durable spinnerbait I've ever used. I've only broken one after catching I don't know how many bass on it. I do see some reviews that the quality has dropped on them. I hope that's not true, but I'll just keep buying these until I find something else that lasts as long as it does and catches as many fish as it does. Now this thing has these longer strands right here so that you don't have to use a soft swim bait trailer for it. It just acts as one and it works just as fine. It works just as well. Alright, let's talk about swim baits now. My favorite one to use is a 6-inch Berkeley Cull Shad. This is obviously the weedless version. I will use the treble hook one as well. And the Megabass Mag Draft. I'll use both the treble hook and weedless of that as well. And for the smaller swim baits, when I want to downsize, I use a 5-inch version of that Berkeley Cull Shad as well. And it was actually a day I started off with the 5-inch and I wasn't catching anything. And so I said, if I'm not going to catch anything today, I'm just going to put the 6-inch on and go for a bigger bite. And I ended up catching like 5 or 6 bass that were about 1.5 pounds. So don't be afraid to use a bigger swim bait. And when I'm downsizing, I like to use a Rapala Mayer. This is the 4-inch. And their 3-inch works amazingly as well. And Storm Largo Shad in the 3.5 and 4-inch sizes. And when do I use one over the other? Well, just like any other time I'm asked that question, it's let the fish tell you. I have no like real reasons why I'll put one on over the other when I go on a trip, besides I just feel like trying this one today, or this one or that one, and I'll just go out and I'll give them a shot and see what they're eating. Now every once in a while I'll use a swim jig, and this is the Riot Baits Minima swim jig. This happens to have a X-Zone swammer on the back of it, but I'll also put on the Storm Largo Shad or even a Mayer on the back of these things. Each one of those helps they have such a big kick that it'll move the swim jig while you're reeling it in. You don't have to impart the action yourself. And I plow these things right through all the grass and the weeds. I cast it into the thickest stuff. Even the 3/8 ounce model, it'll come right through, and that's what I do with swim jigs. I don't really do too much else with them besides just if it's super thick stuff and maybe they've seen 1,000,001 spinnerbaits and chatterbaits, then a swim jig can definitely work on pressured fish. Now the last one I'm going to talk about in the reaction and moving bait category, and it might confuse you a little bit, is a jig. Why reaction with a jig? Well, I fish mostly ponds that have bottoms that you can't really fish the bottom too much at all because you're just going to get stuck in grass or muck and whatever else is down there. So the way I fish a jig is I pitch it in to anything, and I'm aggressively popping my rod, trying to make it look like a bluegill that's just lost or fleeing from something. So I basically turned it into a reaction bite. The only time I drag it is when the water's like really cold. And that's it for the moving baits that I rely on the most. The next part of this series will focus more on the top water that produce for me year after year. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part, and tap the hype button so more anglers can see this video. And if you'd like to help support the channel so I can keep testing more and more baits to see what works on our waters, consider joining as a Pond Bassin supporter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.